Hi, everyone. Today is the third National Vietnam War Veterans Day, and due to issues with the COVID-19 virus this year, our town of Barnegat, New Jersey, along with the Barnegat American Legion and VFW posts, were unable to have its third annual ceremony for it. However, like in previous years, we'll still devote ourselves today in honoring and celebrating all Vietnam veterans for their heroic acts many decades ago and are joined by so many in spirit and in virtual reality via the internet in doing the same thing. My name is T. Caponaro, and as many of you may know, my family and I came over to the United States in 1975 as refugees and are able to stand here today as proud Americans through the concerted efforts of many, including my family members, the hundreds of thousands of volunteers who took us in, fed us, put clothes on our backs, and, like our American sponsor family, give us tools to survive and become productive members of society who give back to the community. And last, but most definitely not least, those Vietnam veterans like yourselves. You helped keep the communists away from our neighborhoods in Vietnam, and you made sure we had a safe passage to your own country after we lost ours. And many times when I say that phrase about how we lost our country, I get choked up. And even though I was only a year and a half when we escaped Saigon and have no recollection of it, thank goodness, as an adult, I'm now able to put myself in my parents' shoes and realize how scared and desperate and confused they must have felt when our family of five was fleeing on one motorcycle from burning houses, or when my mom had to ask her dad to choose two people out of the 10 members of their family to escape Saigon with us because that's all the space that we had at the time, and that the remaining eight would likely die as a result of this choice. Or when they had a ceremony to say goodbye to their country, when they lowered the South Vietnamese flag on my uncle's naval destroyer that we had escaped on and stepped forth into a totally unknown life afterwards. They were only in their mid 20s and 30s and would be seen as kids by many of us today. Speaking of kids, most of you Vietnam veterans were also only kids, much younger and only in your teens, and forced to be in a situation you didn't want to be in. And sadly, you weren't given the hero's welcome when you returned home like you should have because of false and incorrect propaganda the media was spreading. And you had to face your personal nightmares alone, publicly shamed by your own neighbors. And when I put myself in your shoes, I realized how incredibly scared and desperate and confused you must have been too. It was despicable and embarrassing behavior many civilians displayed back then. But things have changed. I always tell the story about how 3.5 years ago, I was thanking Vietnam veterans for their service on Facebook when a Vietnam veteran who I didn't know at all did something completely unexpected and attacked me online, telling me that he was sorry. Sorry that he didn't kill all my ancestors first. I make a point to tell this story because I think it's important that people realize that many veterans are still hurting from indescribable traumas in their lives, but that negatives can also be turned into positives, as was done in this case. From that unkind encounter, I founded the movement of thanking Vietnam veterans in Barnegat, and now make a point to seek and find as many Vietnam veterans to thank so that they may try to heal from any pain this other man was obviously still imprisoned by. My husband and I host thank you dinners for Vietnam vets in our area and built and completely funded a monument in your honor that we unveiled 2 years ago. On a local level, our goal is to be able to reach every Vietnam veteran living in Barnegat to have them come to one of our thank you dinners. And then on a national level, we'd love for other towns and states to get inspired by both things we're doing and to do something similar for their own Vietnam veterans in their own communities, even if it's something virtual like what we're doing this year. And it's working because the exposure we've received over the past several years has helped people reach out to us from all over the state and country who have been moved to try to do something in their communities too. Because of the current stay-at-home order by Governor Murphy due to the COVID-19 virus, we cannot gather together for the safety of everyone. 2.5 weeks ago, before many events in New Jersey started getting canceled, we made the hard and, at the time, very unpopular decision of canceling our event, knowing that bringing a very large crowd of our vulnerable populations of seniors and those with health issues together with those who could be unknowingly carrying the virus and transmitting it to them was a recipe for disaster. If you can hear this, please, please, I'm begging you to stay home and to treat every person and every surface outside of your home as potentially infected and contaminated so that you can take the appropriate measures to protect yourself from getting infected. It can be quickly fatal, and we would hate to see our heroic soldiers who lived through the Vietnam War or any war succumb to something like this, something that can be prevented. So please take this situation as seriously as you can and stay home. Now, if you recall from last year's event, I said in my speech that I hoped our event every year would get smaller because that would mean more and more towns were following Barnegat's lead in hosting a ceremony for their own Vietnam veterans, welcoming them home. So if every town in America wound up doing this, then every Vietnam veteran would always be welcomed home everywhere they turned. And wouldn't that be something great? Well, thanks to the COVID-19 virus, my hope of our event getting smaller this year was realized with it being just a party of one here in this video. But we do hope that vaccines will be available soon so that we can start safely planning for our next event with you all. But regardless of where we all are physically today, on National Vietnam War Veterans Day, know that in our hearts and minds, we think of our Vietnam veterans, not only today, but every day. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all the sacrifices you've made in the name of freedom. God bless each and every one of you. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay inside, and welcome home.